What is your why?
Adding soul into anything that I'm doing, and maybe my purpose of life is getting a bigger emotionalism moment.
What does expressionism mean to you?
In my art, I feel sometimes it is very spiritual thing. It is more like I'm channeling something at that point, and even I cannot replicate it. Every human being is having a potential, right? Based on the energy level, frequency level, intelligence level. You are born with something, but after that, your environment or your work with yourself is changing it, either decreasing it or increasing it. How to balance being stage with the doing stage, how we can be both yin and yang, both feminine energy and masculine. You can have lots of duality.
So in university, how can a student find these people who are ambitious and motivated and aren't toxic?
Based on your current frequency that you are walking around, they will find you.
Love that. Today's episode can be summed up in one word: enlightening. We're joined by Ezgi Demir, business leader of the Year Finalist, marketing leader for Solventum UK and Ireland, and board member of the Female Dentist. Her experience in the business of dentistry is difficult to top. But if you thought this was just another episode about business, you're wrong. We will dive into mindfulness, Ezgi's spiritual rediscovery, auditing your inner self, and how this all relates to your life as a dentist and beyond. Let the journey begin. Welcome back to Season 2 of The Young Dentist. I'm Afif.
I'm Yasmin.
And today we're joined by Ezgi Demir. Ezgi, for our audience who don't have the privilege to know you, who are you?
Oh, who are you is a very difficult question to answer. Who am I? Because I'm asking this question in all my mindfulness lectures as well, and it is not easy to answer. But currently, apparently, for identity self, I am the country marketing leader for Solventum Dental Solutions. And apart from that, I am a kind of artist, let's say, using some expressive forms of writing and painting as a part of support my mindfulness journey.
Awesome. Then I guess a better question then becomes, Ezgi, why are you? What is your why?
Why for what?
Why for living? Why for doing what you do?
Because I'm in the universe, so...
You have to. You got to get back.
So if you're asking like the purpose of life...
What is your purpose? And what is the reason you do it?
Yeah, okay. So I think, of course, we don't really exactly know the purpose of life because it might change year over year when you also change yourself. It's the kind of journey. But maybe it's more like adding soul into anything that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not differentiating my professional life with my daily life, because in the end, if you put your creative thinking and soul and human self, it is making a difference. And usually some people are having a tendency to avoid from emotions. Mm-hmm. So I'm totally the opposite. And maybe my purpose of life is getting a bigger emotionalism moment in the humanity.
So you mentioned emotion, right? What are your thoughts on stoicism?
At some points, I'm okay with that, but I don't want to cluster myself in in one of the philosophical directions, I would say, because sometimes with the mindfulness, you need to be more on the positivity side instead of denying anything, and not like a Pollyanna view, it's not like a toxic positivity. It's not like pretending that everything is positive, more in a realistic sense, but looking at it in a different direction. But from the flow part, as it flows and living the authentic self, yes, there are some things that I can take as well.
Awesome, yes.
So you did mention about wanting an emotionalist sort of movement.
Yes.
And I was looking through your art and I realized it's very expressive. So you're, I would say, an expressionalist artist, like very emotional when it comes to your colors and the paintings. What does expressionism mean to you? How do you incorporate that?
Yeah, very good question, because especially when I have some exhibitions, this is one of the questions, like saying what part of the art movement you are in. for me. And I'm not saying purely only expressionism. This is the reason I'm just saying it's more than emotionalism for me, because I feel like I'm channeling it somehow. I'm not planning it. So expression is something that is coming from inside and you are trying to express it, right? It is the almost opposite of impressionism.
Yeah.
So from inner world to outer world. But in my art, I feel sometimes it is very spiritual thing, and it is more like I'm channeling something at that point, and even I cannot replicate it.
Yeah.
So there are some figures on it, there are some symbols. Sometimes it is really talking like a Jungian subconscious, I would say. And sometimes when I finished it, the meaning of it is more than what I thought in the first sense. So for me, expressionism plus the emotional side is not being impulsive, painting actions like a brush, putting the brush on the canvas, but more like a spontaneity.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, expressing feelings, expressing maybe some kind of emotions that are inside, but with the consciousness you cannot see them.
Yeah.
Like anything, it can be anything. It can be happiness, it can be regret, it can be pain, suffering, or maybe the new lessons that you have. So in my journey, let's say, if I every year there's a kind of lesson, right?
Yeah.
Conceptually, and when you thought that, okay, I took my lesson, another exercise is coming into your life to finish it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is also for me to remind it to myself. For instance, in like 10 years ago, it was more perfectionism. And then I gave up because I thought consistency is more important than being perfect, because sometimes perfectionism is because of controlling behavior of yourself, and it might make you delay some of the things. So I convert this conceptual thinking and word in my life into more consistency.
Yeah.
So that kind of things are also part of my art. And sometimes if I know a person, I'm doing art, painting or writing something really intimate about that person. So only that person can really make a deeper meaning on it. Maybe something that will make him or her reminder, like a reminder in the life. For instance, if there is a very fast speedy person, maybe taking slow down is the key.
Yeah.
And if I'm painting something, I'm putting a note or reminder. So it's more like a spiritual expressionism.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah,
Well,
I cannot
that's
limit
beautiful. Yeah. And you mentioned about sort of like it being a reflection of your thoughts, your feelings. And my question to you is, well, you, apart from art, you are a businesswoman, you know, you're in business. And I was wondering, do you combine that within your business? Do you feel like every day when you're going in, a part of that is with you? How do you incorporate that?
Okay, very good question that I asked in the beginning of my career, like 25 years ago, asking a lot, because it was, for me at that time, it was more like a duality. Like I have to select something. And then when I realized that this is more like a multidimensional being, that I should accept all the sides, it started feeding each other. So it is feeding each other. Like, for instance, you can put creativity on the leadership or your team management, etc. But on top, for the artistic part, you can put groundedness, which is a bit lacking in the artist world, because usually when you imagine something, it is not ground, right? It is imaginative. Yes. So they are both balancing each other from this conceptual side, but I'm not feeling them like a separate. The only thing is, with the help of mindfulness, when I'm doing a to-do, a project, an action, I'm having more like an on and off switch button in my brain, I would say. So I'm completely focusing on that.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have a fear of missing out if you are a multidimensional being.
Yeah.
Because the moment when you start having a regret or fear of missing out, whatever, then you are not going to be having a full potential while you are doing something. So I think this is key. And mindfulness taught me this.
Yeah.
I wish I could do or exercise this in all my life, but it is not easy. Of course, it's not easy. But I'm trying.
So you mentioned the Ezgi, a multidimensional being. What would you define a multidimensional being to be?
For instance, every human being is having a potential, right? Based on the energy level, frequency level, intelligence level. You are born with something. This is creating your personality. But after that, your environment or your work with yourself is changing it, either decreasing it or increasing it, the potential, the fully potential. And during that road, you are trying lots of things. For instance, maybe you're a great pianist, but if you didn't play the piano ever, you will never know it. But if you try like some different dimensions instead of stuck on being only in one part of life, you will start realizing and knowing yourself more. You will start knowing whether you are an empathical person, whether you are an over-empath, whether you are a narcissistic person, and based on that, or anything else. And based on that, hypersensitivity, very rational, very materialistic, lots of different clusters, right? Based on those definitions of the personality, you can have lived life in different dimensions, which is deeper connections. So if you start, for instance, you are a student, right? You are working and you are studying for your exams. And if you start avoiding the rest of life, you will never have a deep connection with life. It's going to be very one-dimensional. You are just going to work for the quiz, for the exam, that's it. But it is one dimension. But you will never know then, have a chance to know in your physical life, whether you are more than that. And everybody is more than something, maybe. And it will affect also the things that you are doing while you are studying, I would say.
Understood.
Actually, you speak about mindfulness quite a lot. I believe it's something you're passionate about. How did you reach a state where you are confident? And I know that you constantly progress with these things, you constantly learn new things, but how did you manage to reach a state where you are aware of your surroundings, that understanding of being mindful? How did you come to,
Very good question. I think it's really like it was the flow. And when you are in because sometimes we don't know whether we are in our path or not.
Yes.
But when you're in path, some things are happening in the life. It is not coincidence, right? So I was always having some overthinking patterns, let's say, and this is not helping if you have an increased level of overthinking, because this will increase the anxiety.
Yes,
it will never come to a point of very happy, satisfied, simple solution when you analyze everything. But there is one thing else. It is also creating lots of curiosity. And everything in life, including creativity, is starting with curiosity. And I was really curious about the deeper meaning of life. And I was searching to improve myself. I read lots of spiritual books, anything. And when I read The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle, I realized that, okay, I need to join to a retreat to also look at my being stage instead of doing something. Because in all my life, starting with university, exams, like the interviews, career, promotions, whatever, you are always in the doing stage.
Yes.
And especially in our world, like we are like white collars, being stage is a bit behind. And I went to the retreat and I was the only Turkish person in the retreat as a team member of Eckhart Tolle. It was extremely magical, like a serendipity moment for me, but it happened. I didn't had so many effort, so it was like a effortless effort to start. And at that point, I started questioning about this, how to balance being stage with the doing stage, how we can be both yin and yang, both feminine energy and masculine. You can have lots of dualities, but how we can keep those in our being, in our self. And the journey starts. So I started writing. I wrote first my novel, and then I started studying mindfulness practitioner program from UCLA. And then I started giving some mindfulness workshops to my friends. And it is really like a journey. Then I realized that this is also a kind of question not only I am asking, but lots of people are asking. And I think I'm here to say that you don't need to give up.
Yeah.
Or you don't need to leave behind one thing in your life to balance it. You can balance it at the same time, and it will really leverage the things that you are doing. Yes. Because after I started that kind of different path, I realized that I can paint with both of my hands, which I was not aware before, because most probably it is about the right side of the brain, left side of the brain, in a very simplified manner. Of course, if neuroscientist is listening to this, most probably they will say, "Oh, is that simple?" But still, it is about the balancing yourself in that sense, because anything that is over is dangerous for yourself. Anything. It can be over laziness is also not good, but overworking is no. So overthinking is the same. So everything is about balancing it, and in order to balance, you need to know both sides. Without having an emotional touch to yourself, you cannot really resonate with other people's emotions. It will be just by the book.
Yeah.
And those kind of things are not being taught to us in schools, unfortunately.
Yes.
So off the back of that, Ezgi, you mentioned finding this middle ground, and it's not taught in schools. What actionable steps would you give to a student in finding this balance and middle ground between over laziness and overworking?
Yes.
What can you do as students?
Yeah. As she gave the example, as Yasmin is saying, like when she wants to express something, let's say as a poem or as a lyric, she needs to do it, because the more she started giving a blockage to herself, it will come up with something else. It might be an illness. It might be a burnout because of the overwhelm, because she's going to try to run away from it. What is going to be the action? Overwork. So like, or addiction, something else. So in order to get away from that kind of avoidance manner, better to do it, release it, and then going to the next stage. So that time-wise, we have 24 hours only in a day. Suddenly, apparently, she's not going to have anything over, because the time is only limited to do those things in a good manner. So there is a really nice saying in the 4 agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz, saying that like go with the flow, of course, but before, do your best, and after that, leave it. It is so. Mindfulness, for instance, is sometimes being confused with carpe diem, but it is not the carpe diem. First, you shouldn't avoid. First, you should do your best, and then you can live it to life to give some fruits.
I see. So you'd recommend students how simply channel that energy almost, so they can
absolutely.
Have that
it is all about where you are using your energy. If, for instance, tomorrow night, maybe you will need an energy to consume more alcohol and to party, to dance. This might be your body need. But if you constantly doing this every night, then you are going to completely lose your energy for other things. It is really like a machine. that we have. So channeling your energy to the optimum thing is very important. This can be sometimes doing nothing. Like maybe sometimes your energy needs being at home, sitting in the sofa, looking at the black or white wall. That's it, staring at it. Or meditating or breathing or just stopping, doing nothing. Again, this might be your need for recharging yourself. So it's all about how you channel your energy and how you are being surrounded with people. Are they toxic or are they really leveraging you? Do you have some really inspirational thoughts together? Because those things also fuel some more energy to you.
So in university, how can a student find these people who are ambitious and motivated and aren't toxic? What would you recommend?
You will feel it. Intuitive skills will tell you about this. Sometimes your body will tell you. It is like under the lines, your body might have some anxious behavior. Or maybe after meeting with that person, when you are going to home back, you will feel anxious or you will feel like a bit drained.
So maybe a good step could be to kind of evaluate your friendships and see
authentic relationships, actually. Because it's not only about being all the time with positive people, because sometimes you need maybe some people that are realistic but a bit more risk averse, let's say. This might be also important for your life to show something else, but your intuition will show you about the time spent. So you cannot find that kind of friendship in school by searching it. Based on your current frequency that you are walking around, they will find you.
Love that. Yasmin, any questions?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting that you say that, because I do believe that we should open ourselves up and actually listen to our own bodies a lot. I feel like as dental students, we sometimes forget to take a step back and analyze ourselves and how we feel. I think we, in an industry like healthcare, we are made to sort of we're looking after other people and we are putting our energy to treat other people. And sometimes we forget to listen to ourselves. Yeah. So how would you recommend that we, as dental students, sort of take a step back and listen to ourselves so that we can provide the best treatment, not just for the patients, but for ourselves as well?
Yeah, because again, it is really a good fine line being a people pleaser or being your authentic self. Because if you suddenly start finding yourself just people pleaser, you will start seeing your patients' eyes, and it's becoming more like an over empathy, but you are going to lose yourself. Yes. What is your need? So at that point, you need to be a bit, not the selfish, I don't know the correct wording for it, but you need to be also self-centered in that sense. If you feel like you are a bit like overloaded with other people's, like your patients or your teachers' needs, you should step back.
Yes.
And there are lots of different exercises to be grounded. You can maybe have you can take some notes, you can paint, you can play some, it's art, it is sports, anything that will remind you yourself, your needs. And this will also make you very in a good step of not having a burnout.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the end result will be burning out yourself because you didn't listen your needs or your body. Maybe you will start having a back pain.
Yeah.
Because you didn't balance it enough. Yes. While you are looking at the patients. So that kind of different exercises that you can have. But the main thing is like your body scanner, you should sometimes scan your spirit, your soul. It's not a material thing, but it's more like scanning yourself about the emotions. And sometimes also the emotions are hiding themselves with other emotions. So when you're having a heartbreak, for instance, or you are sad, sometimes anger emotion is hiding the sadness.
Yeah.
So the more you start defining yourself or describing yourself, you will understand better.
Yes. Thank you.
Sometimes it is, by the way, you will just understand, but you would not be able to act. But it is okay. It is just going to start with you to understand.
I see. So you mentioned there like scanning your soul, right?
Mm.
How does one do that? What environment do you have to be in? Is it meditation? How can you kind of understand yourself that deeply?
Yeah. First, it is starting with scanning your body,
Okay.
because body is saying lots of things to us.
Okay.
When you first start your scanning your body with some breathing exercise, it might be yoga, it might be meditation, it might be just walking, running in a gym, or even just lying in the bed before sleeping. With some binaural beats, it will help you. And after that, you will start scanning your emotions, your sentiment self. And then you will start scanning your daily habits. Is it helping to you for your purpose? If you have. If it is just being happy, it is okay. And for instance, the actions you did today, are they helping you to be happy, to be more contemplating in the life or not? That kind of scanning, like emotions, feelings, real actions, to-do list, body.
Understood.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I have a question which we sort of touched on earlier on, but again, you know, as we've understood, you're a you're a multi-diverse person. Like you're doing artistic stuff, you're doing business stuff. How can you advise young dentists or students how to manage both, how to nurture both if they have more than one interest, how to sort of give love to both?
First, on the road, some things might be eliminated. And maybe you think that you have passion, but maybe you are not having enough passion that you are thinking about. So in order to do the both, my personal view is I'm never seeing something as a duty. Like even the business life, I am not seeing this like a burden, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It is also part of my life, like a habit, like a life habit, because I know that it is a platform that I can use my analytical skills, that I can use more different parts of the intelligence. But meanwhile, doing for instance, if someone is runner, this runner person will have a creation of discipline and speed in the life, better concentration, health, muscles, whatever. So you can really start the way of seeing everything that is happening in your life is for a reason and helping you. So then suddenly you don't need to think about balancing it. So you just need to listen your inner being.
Yeah.
What is the need? Sometimes maybe you need to, if you are a dental student, you are going to graduate, maybe the first year of graduation, you might only need to focus on the career side.
Yeah.
This is okay. This is acceptable. The only thing is you shouldn't have in the back of your mind a regret of, oh, I wish I could paint now. No, first you need to maybe in the first year of graduation, you need to solve this part to get you a more empowerment, and it will maybe leverage and help your other sides or rich things in life.
Yeah.
For instance, let's say as a female dental student, maybe you are into fashion, okay? Maybe you're into fashion and style. Maybe after some point you will open a startup with your dental fashion clothes.
Yeah.
You will never know this. So this is the thing that we shouldn't, I think, deny what the life is for. And the dental students are, if they are dental students, they are going to have a dental career. Then you can leverage it and make it a completely different perspective. Maybe it is not even existing now.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned about being a female dental student, and I realized that you're a board member of the Female Dentist, and I was wondering, what does that mean to you? What impact do you want to make with that?
Yeah, it is just recent, and I think it's a very good initiative by Steve. And what I can say, I'm really happy to be part of it, because I'm not a feminist person.
Yeah.
But what I can say is female conditions, brain, raising the family, raising a boy and a girl is also different, is making a different path than male. And sometimes we need to leverage each other. But it's a bit different. Usually female are closer to females, but also they are more jealous to females, unlike men. So men are a bit more like looking at life simpler. We are looking more complicated because this is our nature. And with the Female Dentist Network, we really would like to use our capabilities, because everyone is having different strengths, yes, right? Using our capabilities to uplift each other about well-being, about mental well-being, about creativity, mindfulness, anything that is also not only relevant to products. Of course, using a very good quality product is key because you are going to shorten your time, etc. This is the functional side, but also there is a really important personal development side, I think, in the female dentistry. And this network is going to have that objective, I think, with all the females in the board, creating not a better, but more contentful, satisfied, and deeper connections with the other female dentists and dental professionals.
Amazing.
So it sounds like there's exciting times ahead then. Awesome. You mentioned it, Ezgi, briefly going back a few minutes. Focus, right? You mentioned action through an action in a way. What do you think focus truly is?
Because if you are having so many interests in life, you need to have that muscle very strong, even in a hyper-focus stage. And usually, for instance, if a person is having an ADHD, etc., they are having lack of attention, but then sometimes they are having hyper-focus. This is not what I'm trying to say. More I'm trying to say is, it is on your control. It is not in your control. It is on your control, and like this on and off switch, when you have a concentration, if you are not having anything in the back of your mind, which means you are more mindful at that moment, suddenly you are going to use lots of sides of your brain as a focus on that task. And focus is something that you can learn. Because if there are some topics that you are not interested in, even if you are not ADHD, you are not going to take any attention, right? You are trying to run away from it because you don't like it. This is normal. But if you start getting more interested in things that you like to do, you are going to have an extreme focus. But there are in life some things like your exams that you need to focus, although maybe you don't like that lesson or that class. And at that point, you can really persuade yourself with a focus, because then it will make you having a time efficiency. If you distract yourself, it will take longer time. So it is like you are trying to run away from something, but it is going to take more time of you. It is like how to channel the energy. It is the same.
Understood.
I mean, I'm trying to explain very metaphorically, maybe, but I hope it will resonate.
Yeah, no, I think you did a very good job explaining so far. I guess the last question from mine then, Ezgi, is what does success mean to you?
Success, of course, the results for sure we have as in the business. You need to be having a key performance indicators defining the success. But if you are asking the success in life, I think the most successful moment for a person in life is finding themselves, the authentic self. It is the greatest success.
And what does that look like? What does that look like?
It is all dependent on the people. You don't know your authentic self because you have also some shadows, right? Shadow works you need to do. Like what? For instance, maybe you are a perfectionist. It can be both a gift and a curse, because maybe this will also create a jealousy in you to other people, and this will make you backwards in the life. So after finalizing those shadow works and converting them into something like a sublimation technique, converting into positive, then you are successful.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ezgi. I've been Afif.
I've been Yasmin. Thank you.
And this has been The Young Dentist. Thank you very much, Ezgi.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.